Welcome to the All Financial Hour podcast with Steve All.
You know, whenever the stock market is doing well, and it's been doing well for a long time, minus a little blip this week, it seems like we always see this headline where they say the number of 401k millionaires is at an all-time high. Obviously, a great headline there, but we all have to remember that the number in your 401k isn't exactly yours. You have a silent partner there. His name is Uncle Sam, and that real number is really what you get after taxes. And you can pretty much bet you can take 30% off the top there. So let's talk about the impact of taxes on retirees, Steve.
Okay, so we look at it as one of those what I call conventional financial wisdom. In the 70s, when the 401k was introduced, it had little things like you get a tax deduction for it now. It'll grow tax deferred. When you take it out, it's going to be taxable income. And when you hit, at that time, 70 and a half, you're going to be required to take distributions from it. But it's not going to be that big of a problem because you're going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. And I start out almost every presentation I do asking people, how many people are actually in a lower tax bracket? Not very many. And then those that say they are, I said, have you thought about when you lose your spouse? Because those single brackets are a lot less. So we look at that 401k bracket. If you're in Illinois, you don't have to pay state taxes on distributions from an IRA or 401k. In the state of Missouri, we do. So we look at that. I don't think you're far off, 30% going for taxes. If I need $1, I have to take out $1.40 so I can spend the dollar. So that's the first thing we have to realize, that all of the money in that account is not yours. So how do we look at these? We might want to look at it and say, should we shift some of the dollars that we're saving? Most companies today have Roth 401k plans. Now remember, the Roth account, you don't get the tax deduction for it. The money that you put in grows tax-free when you take it out properly after age 59 and a half, and you have to keep it there for 5 years. The other thing that we would have to look at is if you've got too much money in your IRAs and 401ks, we might want to look at Roth conversions. And when I say too much money, what do I mean? The average balance for a couple is about $190,000 to $200,000. It kind of fluctuates back and forth. So if you've got an extra large, $750 above, you might spend that down during your lifetime. But if not, you might pass a tax time bomb to the kids. If you have a double X between $750,000 and $1.5 million, chances are you're not going to spend that down. And if you've got a triple X, 1.75 or 1.5 or more, you probably will pass on a tax time bomb to your kids. And I always ask people, do you think taxes are going to be higher or lower in the future? If you really think they're going to be higher, it might be advantageous to do a tax analysis to see if Roth conversions would work for you. So if you have more than $500,000 in IRAs and 401ks, give us a call. Ask us to do the tax analysis around your 401k to see if it would benefit you and your heirs for Roth conversions. Give us a call. Ask for the tax analysis.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but you always put the qualifier of $500,000 because there's more options, correct, with the Roth conversion?
The $500,000, people always ask that question, will you work with people with less than $500,000? The answer is yes, but I don't do a lot of tax analysis when we're at income values of under $500,000. It just doesn't make as much sense. The models don't work as well, and it's just not a big difference tax-wise if you have under $500,000 saved.
Perfect. Well, again, if you'd like to come in for this tax analysis and you have $500,000 saved in IRAs and 401ks, you'd like to know those options when it comes to Roth conversions and just being more tax efficient overall in planning for retirement, give a call today. That's 636-230-8824. 636-230-8824. Also want to remind you, listeners, that there's no cost, no obligation. This is a simple complimentary service that Steve's offering for you today. And that website, yourmoneymattersstl.com. You know, Steve, we talked about the so-called 4% rule for retirement withdrawals before here on the show, and it's been around for more than 30 years. It basically says spend 4% of your savings in the first year of your retirement. Then you do the same amount adjusted for inflation every year after that. That's supposed to make your money last 30 years. But what if someone tells you 4% is too stingy for my retirement? What are your thoughts here?
Well, the rule could be 4%. You know, it's been adjusted. Some say you should take it down to 3. Some say you could take it almost to 5. So the idea is when we start to look at income planning, that was not designed to be an income plan. It was kind of a rule of thumb. So the question that I usually ask, how are you going to replace your paycheck when you retire? And I ask, what do people like about a pension? They like about the fact that it's going to come in every month. It helps them out for longevity insurance. If they live a real long time, they're still going to get that check. You're going to set aside some of your money to get you that same thing that they like in the pension. Guaranteed income for my life and my spouse's, if that's what I choose, for the rest of my life. Advantage of the personally funded pension is if you prematurely pass, the value of the account would go to your heirs versus if you prematurely pass from a company pension, it just stops. So let's look at it. How will you replace your income in retirement? Have you ever thought of a personally funded pension? And would you like more information? Give us a call now. Ask about income planning so that we can assist you in figuring out how you're going to replace your paycheck in retirement.
A great opportunity again. Talk about replacing your income in retirement. Come in today for this income plan review. Again, it's complimentary. 636-230-8824. 636-230-8824. The website yourmoneymattersstl.com. Steve, it's one of the most important questions that new retirees face. It's when should I take Social Security? But that brings up even more questions. Number one, should you claim it at the most popular age of 62? Number two, should you wait until 65 or later since your benefit grows over time? And number three, how long will you live? Well, according to the CDC, average life expectancy is almost 75 years for a man and 80 years for a woman. So how do you help with the math from there so that they don't leave money on the table?
Well, I think when we start to look at Social Security, it's an optimization question, not a maximization question. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you take Social Security at age 62, you're going to take a discount. If you wait till you're 70, that monthly check would go up by 76%. Pretty big jump in that monthly check. So the idea around it is if we're looking at break-even analysis, if you're single, it's a lot easier to look at. If you're going to live past age 80, if there's a good probability of that, you'll want to delay as long as possible. If you're not, you can start earlier because 80 is about that break-even point for a single person. Well, when we get into spouses, there's a lot of numbers around break-even. If you both pass away at a young age, you should have started at 62. If you wait a long time, you should wait till after you're 70 to start. So there's all kinds of things that we look at. But the idea around it is, what other assets do you have, and can you wait? Most people don't realize that if you have working income greater than $24,500, that they will reduce the amount of Social Security that you'll get. $1 for every $2 over that limit. So I can't have working income at that time. Then we look at the year that you hit full retirement age. You can make almost $65,000 in that year with no penalties. If you are above that in the year you turn full retirement age, then you look back and you say, okay, now it's $1 penalty for every 3. So we do have to look at your earnings to find out. And then we have to look at the rest of your assets to see if it makes sense. Again, if either one of you are going to live past age 80, I want the larger of the two to delay as long as possible. Why? Because that's predominantly the survivor benefit when one of the two of you all pass away. So that's a lot of information to basically say, we need to do the analysis around it. We need a Social Security optimization report. To be able to do that, I have to gather all the information. I have to know about your other incomes, your pensions if you have a pension, your assets, because it doesn't do me any good to say you ought to wait till you're 70 and then you don't have the assets to live from age 65 to 70. So we need all of this information to figure out what would be optimization for you for Social Security. So if you're asking yourself that question, when should I take Social Security? Give us a call. Ask for the Social Security Optimization Report. Reminder, Chris will remind you also, we have to gather all the information to make it make sense. Give us a call now. Ask for the Optimization Report.
Yeah, it's an important decision here. The Social Security Optimization Report will help you make that decision of when you should claim your Social Security. Again, give a call today. It's 636-230-8824 and ask for that Social Security Optimization Report. That's 636-230-8824. Recently, Steve, I came across 4 things that take up 75% of a retiree's monthly income. It lists housing, transportation, food, and health care. So 25% is left for everything else, like taxes, clothes, gifts, grandchildren, you name it. So I have to ask you, what about that fun bucket? I mean, how do we build that in if we only got 25% left?
Well, that's probably the biggest thing that we have to look at. It has to do with income planning. We start to look at income planning. The most important number when we're looking at income planning is, what are you spending? What are we trying to recover? Now, I like to break those down into separate categories. I'm not going to ask you to do the envelope system and you got $3 for this and $300 for that. But we need to know what your basic needs are. Then we look at the extras. What do we really enjoy doing? I like to take vacation planning and put it kind of like a budget item. I don't have people pull the money out of their accounts to save for a vacation. Why? They spent years working. Their whole account is a savings account. Let's pull that out as we need it. Other thing that I like to look at so that I don't collect it and take it out of the account every month, what about that year-end real estate tax? If you're paying your insurance at that same time because the house is paid off. What about property taxes? Have you figured out all of those things? And if those come at one time, let's take them out of the account then. But let's look at those expenses. Now I've got those. Now we need to look at the other side of it. What's my income? How much income do I need? How am I going to fill that gap? Or do I have more income coming in than I'm currently spending? So those are the things that we have to look at. But I'd say build the fun bucket in. That's why I put that vacation and extras in there. Because I like to ask the question when people are getting close, what are you retiring to? Because I would say most people really don't want to retire, sit on the couch and stare at each other. I look at it to the point those first 3 years can be very expensive in retirement. Why? Every day is Saturday. All those things on the to-do list that we didn't do, now they're going to come due. Well, I want to go visit my children if they live out of town. So those first 3 years can be very expensive. The last 3 years could be expensive also, and that's usually due to health care cost. So that's where I look at it. Break it down. What's a need? What's a want? One of the biggest areas when people start to get tight, what are you paying for TV, internet, and things like that? We used to complain when we had a $45 AT&T bill. Now I would look at it to sit here and say, how much are you spending on Wi-Fi, internet at the house, telephones, cell phones, and all your streaming services? That can shrink a budget very quickly if we look at everything that's in that. So give me my basic needs, and then I have my wants. I'm not going to give up some of those wants, but I'm going to have a better idea what they are. If you need assistance with that, give us a call. Ask about income planning. Let us help set up a spending plan, and then we'll figure out where you're at with the income and how much you might have to take out of your account or how much you could additionally spend. Give us a call now.
Thanks for listening to the All Financial Hour podcast.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG. All Financial Group, LLC is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not subject to investment advisor requirements. IPW and All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. All Financial Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by All Financial Group, LLC.
This radio show is intended for information purposes only.